Hello and welcome back to the Ideal Wealth Grower YouTube channel. My name is Axel Meyerhöfer and I'm the founder of Ideal Wealth Grower. And what we want to talk about a little bit today, what are the biggest lies in real estate and what are people being told about real estate investing, specifically in the area of real estate investing that we are mainly working in and what we're actually doing in our mentoring program. So just to position where we are for those of you who come to this channel for the first time or watch one of these videos for the first time, we are focusing mainly on an out-of-state turnkey real estate investing strategy that invests money into residential real estate. And there are a couple of different facets, but the main reason why we do this is because that kind of residential real estate is the biggest market that is out there. It is a market both for investors and for regular people who want to buy a house or want to buy real estate, residential real estate for their own use, to move in and live there. That also means if we buy a property, have it for 5, 10, 15 years, and for whatever reason we want to sell it, we don't just have the opportunity to sell it to people who want to move in, but we can also potentially sell it to other real estate investors. And this is actually happening quite frequently because for a long time, between like about the year 2000 and 2010, a lot of people saw that real estate is a great investment opportunity and the economy was going pretty well. And so they invested in real estate, and then the big financial crisis hit in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and a lot of the valuations went down. And so first people were waiting to get back to the original valuation of what they paid and really get to a good place, and then wait for lots of appreciation. And while you're doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, which is why you would do a real estate investment in residential real estate in the first place, you get older and older and older, and at some point you might say, well, I have some passive income, but I also want to actually do a major investment for myself, or I want to buy something in a different location or whatever it might be. And so what I've seen in the industry is that some older people who have developed a nice portfolio say, well, here is a reason why I want to liquidate my portfolio and I'm willing to sell it to other people. And that also tells you, well, regular people that would want to move in wouldn't buy 3, 4, 5 houses at a time, but we as investors would. So what are the biggest lies about real estate investing and specifically residential real estate investing? One of the biggest lies is that real estate investing is only for people who are already rich or you already made a ton of money. That is not really true. And if we had actually a conversation, if we were in a room together and we could talk to each other, or I would give this presentation to an audience, I would literally say, give me some numbers of what you're thinking the starting investment for residential real estate nowadays actually is. And what I've heard when I had the opportunity to ask those kind of questions, or when we do this in some sort of a podcast video, any kind of opportunity to engage people directly, most people come up with numbers like 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, huge numbers like that. And even though you can naturally make investment with any one of those numbers, the starting point and why it's not true and a huge lie that it's supposedly something that only rich people can do is the reality is, as of recently, the lowest entry point for the exact same kind of real estate that we are investing in on a larger scale is literally $50. $50 is the entry point. Now, how much of a house that costs $150,000 is it when you make a $50 investment? Not very much, understandably. But that's the same thing when you say nowadays you go out and you buy one share of Amazon or one share of Apple or one share, any kind of stock of a really big company. One share, you can probably not even say how much in 0.00000 whatever percent that is of the company. So think about it in that same way, and $50 can get you the first little tiny piece of investment in residential real estate. And we can help you through our mentoring program how to do this. And then the next step up from there is not 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. No, the next step up is about $1,000. And the next step from them, so remember 50, 1,000, then the next step is about $5,000. And then after that, you have the opportunity to actually get into the more traditional residential real estate investing. And when you get beyond that $10,000 level, and think about it, you can work your way up there, right? You can start making a couple $100 every month into these $50 things because you can buy one. But you can also say, well, my goal is to buy 10 of those little $50 $100 pieces of residential real estate investing, well performing, per month. That would be $500. And if you have a month where you might not have quite as much, you maybe not buy 10, you buy 8. And so that's $400 and so forth. So you can juggle this and work your way up until you get to a point nowadays with the price levels that we see where you want to have somewhere between 20 and 25,000. And with that, now you're getting into the situation where you can actually qualify for a loan or a mortgage. And so if you think about it, for $25,000, you can get about a $120,000, $130,000 house. For $30,000, you get a $150,000 house because it's always 20% down, 80% from the bank. Now, a lot of people, that's another one of those lies, is you have to have a great job and great income to qualify for one of those mortgages. Let's just assume you had $25,000 or $30,000 accumulated in your accumulation account, or you converted money from your 401k plan, which, by the way, I recommend strongly to do. And now you have that money, or you have a whole life insurance policy and you put a loan on that and now you have that money. Any one of those ways and others where, however you got the bonus maybe in your job, you have $25,000, $30,000 now. And that would mean you can get a mortgage fundamentally. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, but that is only when I have really, really good job and really, really good income and not a lot of kind of previous sins like credit card debt or car loan debt or anything like that. And that is a lie too, because there are two ways on how you can finance as an investment residential real estate. You can either go the traditional way, which is the same way like you would actually qualify if you were to buy something for yourself to move in. And that is, you show to the people who give the money, either the banks or the lenders and the mortgage providers, you show them that you have a certain amount of expenses and you have a certain amount of income. And that ratio is such that you qualify for a mortgage. And just for those of you who are interested how that actually works, when you already have a few investments, just in case, then the rental income typically is accounted for at 70% of the actual rent as income. So if you make, let's say, $4,000 a month and you have two properties that give you, let's say, $2,000 in rent together, like $1,000 each, then 70% or $1,400 a month would be accounted in addition to your $4,000. So you had $4,000 plus $1,400, so $5,400 would then be your basis to say, do you qualify? And there is this lie or this myth that that's the only way to ever invest in residential real estate. You have to qualify for a mortgage. And that's not completely true, because there are loans you can get that are not dependent on your income. You might be a person who has a little business that may not do that well. Or you have decided that for some reason you take care of, let's say, your family or somebody, a friend of yours or so forth, and therefore you don't have any kind of significant income, but you have saved this money. Well, there are loans that are called property-dependent loans or no documentation loans. And that doesn't mean that you don't have to show any paperwork. You also still have to show your credit score and all those kind of things, but it's called non-documentation because you don't have to document your income. You have to document that you are a responsible person with your money and that the property is very likely to perform. Which is anyway what we show everybody in our IWG mentoring program, is only to buy properties that perform well from day one. And perform well, in case you're wondering, means that they actually make money from day one. So you make your investment, you get your 2080 loan, and the property gets a tenant. And when the mortgage is paid and the insurance is paid and the property manager and everything else is paid, there should always be a little bit of money left over. That's called positive cash flow. If you had a property where that's not the case or nothing is left over, it means it's not performing and you shouldn't invest. So if you have a performing property and you can show to a lender, yes, this property is going to perform, then what actually happens with that is that it doesn't matter how much your income is. Now, is that a normal traditional bank? No, but it is a lie or a myth to say, well, if I don't qualify for a traditional mortgage, then I can do real estate investing. So those are just a few of these lies and myths that are out there. And even after probably like the last 3 or 4 years of a real estate market that is increasing steadily, and when you're looking at the media, they keep telling you that prices have completely gone off the chart. And the lie about that is that the price is really the relevant indicator, and it's not. What is the actual relevant indicator for us as investors is performance. So that's another one of those lies. It doesn't matter whether a house costs 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, even if that's the same house over the last 5 years. What really matters for us as investors is, can we get sufficient rent to make it perform? So if you had a house that cost you $100,000 10 years ago and you can now get $1,500 rent, that's awesome. That's very good performance. If that same house, you didn't buy it 10 years ago, you bought it 5 years ago, it costs you $150,000 and the same $1,500 a month in rent, that is still well performing, that is still meeting the 1% rule. And if that house in the last few years went from $150,000 to $200,000 and you get $1,500 or $1,600 rent, that is still performing, because I guarantee you, if you get a regular mortgage, whether it's a non-documentation or traditional mortgage, you will still have a little bit left over every month. And that means it's performing. So the price is not really relevant. What's relevant is the ratio between how much you pay and how much money comes in from the rent. So that's just another one of those a little bit obscure lies that are out there, that when the prices increase, you can't make a good deal anymore. There are many more in-depth things that we would discuss if you were to decide to join us, if you download our free mindset manual, if you want to get a conversation to decide if you like the way that we mentor people and take them by the hand and actually show them how you can be an investor, whether it's at $50, $500, $5,000 or $50,000. We can show you how you can become a residential real estate investor. And most important, to do this because it generates the cash flow, which ultimately accumulates. It's $100 in the first property, and then another $300 in the next property, and another $500 in the next property every month. And if you add it all together, you can come to a point where your different investments make enough money so you don't really have to have a job anymore. You don't really have to have exchange time for money anymore. And when you get to that point, that's the point that we call the time freedom point, where you can really live your passion. And that's what our passion is, to help you to get to that point as quickly as possible and disregard all these lies and all these myths out there, because that's what we're doing. And I can show you on our own example how I have invested in residential real estate in the United States and internationally, and build that portfolio and build that income. And I can show you and help you to get there as well. And when you get there, I can absolutely tell you it's an amazing feeling. And it starts already when you do your first investments, get better and better and better and better. So it's not just for rich people, it's for you and everybody else. If you're disciplined, if you follow a proper path, if you don't listen to all this chatter, and if you are actually willing to go down that journey towards the time freedom point. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you're not already a subscriber, I would love if you can subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up so that the algorithm knows that people are interested in our content. And please, please, please share it with your network so more people know what we're doing. But more importantly, they know that a lot of these statements that they find out there on social media or general media are lies and myths that aren't really true. And if you want to know more, just get in touch. And we're here to help you. So until we hear from you or in the next video, be well, stay safe, and I see you in this channel soon.